Imagine standing in a supermarket aisle, glancing between a carton of whole milk and a vibrant box of almond milk, asking yourself, which option betrays your heart? As more consumers seek heart-healthy diets, dairy and its plant-based alternatives have become central to a swirling debate on well-being and nutrition. But what if your heart-friendly choice has been wrong all along? Recent studies suggest your favorite splash in the morning coffee might be stealthily shaping your heart's fate. The secrets nestled in a simple glass of milk could redefine your approach to one of life's primary sustenances. For generations, dairy products have been a staple of dietary habits across cultures, often lauded for their richness in essential nutrients. Skimmed and whole milk, cheeses, and yogurts have long been considered foundational to a balanced diet, heralded for their ability to build strong bones due to their calcium content. However, their relationship with heart health has transitioned through various perceptions over the decades. Picture a familial breakfast scene where a chilled pitcher of full cream milk resting on the table evokes both nostalgia and health consciousness, a reflection of how intertwined dairy has become with our pursuit of wellness. In the mid-20th century, dairy was primarily revered for its high concentrations of calcium, vitamin D, and phosphorus, crucial for maintaining bone density and preventing conditions such as osteoporosis. Additionally, dairy products are an excellent source of protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids needed for muscle repair and overall health. Yet, as the lens of scientific scrutiny zoomed in on dietary fats and cardiovascular illnesses, dairy products were gradually placed under a different light. The once unquestioned healthfulness of these creamy delights began to mingle with concerns, as saturated fats found in milk and cheese came to be implicated in raising low-density lipoprotein, LDL cholesterol, often termed as bad cholesterol, which is linked to increased risks of arterial blockages and heart disease. Throughout the latter half of the 20th century, nutritional guidelines began evolving, urging moderation in the consumption of whole dairy products as a means to protect heart health. Health professionals increasingly advocated for the incorporation of reduced fat or non-fat dairy alternatives on the basis that they offered the same nutritional benefits, but with fewer risks associated with elevated cholesterol levels. Subsequently, carton labels with phrases like 1% fat or skimmed became familiar in supermarkets, signaling a seismic shift towards low-fat options. The emphasis was on retaining beneficial elements such as calcium and protein while minimizing the intake of artery-clogging fats, a sensible balance to aim for in the diet of those concerned for their hearts. Despite this shift, recent studies have sought to reassess and sometimes challenge decades of dietary dogma. Some researchers now argue that the relationship between dairy fats and heart disease may be more nuanced than previously understood. According to findings published in reputable medical journals, certain types of saturated fats present in dairy may not be as harmful as those found in processed meats and could even have neutral or beneficial effects on heart health. This burgeoning line of inquiry suggests that when ingested as part of a varied and balanced diet, full-fat dairy products might not necessarily escalate heart disease risks as once thought, potentially fortifying the case for their inclusion in heart-conscious diets. Nonetheless, the traditional narrative around dairy and heart health has informed public attitudes significantly. Public health campaigns and nutritional advice have historically emphasized the potential dangers of saturated fats while simultaneously fostering an environment where low-fat dairy is championed. This has implications for not just individual health choices, but also broader consumer behavior and the market dynamics of dairy products. As consumers become increasingly aware of the complexities surrounding diet and cardiovascular health, there is a renewed vigor in how dairy products are perceived and consumed. This exploration of dairy's role in nutrition and heart health naturally leads to a deeper examination of specific low-fat dairy options. It raises pertinent questions about what advantages they may offer for those particularly focused on maintaining cardiovascular health. The next step involves assessing these benefits against other emerging alternatives, such as plant-based solutions, which are rapidly capturing the imagination and loyalty of health-oriented consumers around the globe. In the ongoing narrative about dietary choices and cardiovascular health, Low-fat dairy options have carved out a distinctive niche, touted for their balanced nutritional offerings with a primary focus on heart health. As individuals increasingly aim to reconcile the need for nutritional richness with the necessity of reducing saturated fats, the demand for skimmed and low-fat dairy has steadily risen. These options, which include skimmed milk, low-fat yogurts, and reduced-fat cheeses, adjust the traditional dairy formula by prioritizing heart-conscious elements while attempting to retain the gown of nutritional benefits that dairy traditionally offers. Low-fat dairy products are championed primarily for their lower saturated fat content compared to their full-fat counterparts. This modification plays directly into dietary strategies aimed at maintaining healthy cholesterol levels. By reducing the intake of saturated fats, historically linked to elevated LDL cholesterol, consumers can more effectively manage one of the key factors in the development of heart disease. Yet, low-fat dairy does not skimp on other essential nutrients. It retains calcium, proteins, vitamins A and D, and other minerals at levels akin to full-fat versions, providing muscle support, bone strength, and energetic needs without significantly compromising nutritional integrity. Calcium levels in low-fat dairy remain robust, supporting cardiovascular function by aiding in the regulation of heart rhythms and blood pressure. Additionally, these products contain bioactive peptides, proteins that may enhance heart health by reducing blood pressure and improving endothelial function, the layer of cells lining blood veins that, when healthy, aids in efficient cardiovascular operation. Low-fat yogurt, in particular, also introduces probiotics into the diet, which might contribute to better gut health, a topic that is increasingly linked to overall systemic health, including heart health. Despite these benefits, it's worth noting that low-fat dairy options are not without their challenges. The processing methods may result in the incorporation of additives and sugars to maintain texture and taste, an area of concern given the rising awareness about excessive sugar intake and its systemic impacts, including potential indirect effects on heart health. Moreover, some critics argue that the benefits derived from esters found in full-fat dairy, which may have protective effects against heart disease, are absent in their low-fat counterparts. Consumer response to low-fat dairy has been mixed yet dynamic. While many embrace these products for their heart health benefits and balanced nutritional profile, others remain cautious, swayed by evolving research that sometimes paints a debatable picture of the health impacts of removing fats from naturally occurring foods. This cautious acceptance underscores the complexity of making informed dietary decisions, heavily influenced by an ever-expanding body of research and public health advice. As dietary trends continue to shift, the conversation increasingly includes plant-based options such as almond and soy milk, which claim distinct advantages in both health and environmental realms. These alternatives are becoming central figures in discussions about heart health, showcasing significantly different nutritional profiles such as lower calorie and fat content, along with unique vitamins and minerals. This shift reflects a broader movement towards understanding the role that varied, less traditional, and more sustainable dietary choices might play in enhancing heart health for future generations. As dietary habits evolve, the increasing demand for plant-based milk alternatives underscores a significant shift in consumer priorities. Almond milk and soy milk, two prominent players in this space, have rapidly gained traction, not only among those with lactose intolerance or dietary restrictions, but also among health-conscious individuals seeking heart-friendly choices. Amid growing concerns regarding cholesterol, saturated fats, and environmental impact, these plant-based substitutes are reshaping the traditional narrative surrounding heart health. The surge in popularity of almond milk can largely be attributed to its appealing nutritional profile. Low in calories and devoid of cholesterol and saturated fats, almond milk presents itself as a savvy option for individuals aiming to maintain a heart-healthy diet without compromising taste or versatility. Enriched with vitamins D and E, it offers antioxidant properties that support cardiovascular and overall cellular health. Additionally, it contains a small amount of monounsaturated fats, similar to the heart-friendly fats found in olive oil, contributing to its appeal for those focused on reducing their LDL cholesterol levels. Soy milk, on the other hand, provides a closer nutritional approximation to cow's milk, especially in terms of protein content. Unlike almond milk, soy milk offers a substantial protein punch that is vital for muscle maintenance and growth. This legume-based beverage is also fortified with calcium and vitamins, making it a viable alternative for those cautious about nutrient intake. The spotlight on soy milk in the realm of heart health often highlights its isoflavones, compounds that may improve arterial health and lower bad cholesterol levels. Some studies suggest that soy protein not only acts as an effective substitute for animal protein, but may also offer additional heart protective benefits. The rise of plant-based alternatives, however, is not just backed by individual nutritional benefits. It aligns with a broader shift towards sustainable and ethical food consumption. The environmental footprint of producing plant-based milks is notably smaller compared to traditional dairy, requiring less water and land, which, over time, can have positive implications for planetary health. This factor, coupled with growing awareness about climate change, further propels their appeal to environmentally conscious consumers who are seeking to make impactful dietary changes, albeit indirectly, to support heart health by promoting a healthier planet. Despite the positive qualities of plant-based milks, it is critical to acknowledge the potential drawbacks. Almond milk, for instance, is relatively low in protein compared to cow or soy milk, which might not make it the optimal choice for those who need higher protein intake. Additionally, many commercially available almond and soy milks contain added sugars to enhance flavor, which can detract from their health benefits. Thus, consumers are advised to be vigilant, opting for unsweetened versions to preserve the heart health advantages these milks inherently offer. As the embrace of almond and soy milks continues to grow, the implications of these dietary shifts are far-reaching, signaling a significant transformation in how society perceives nutrition as it pertains to heart health. Beyond just their immediate health impacts, these alternatives contribute to a larger dialogue about the intersection of nutrition, sustainability, and wellness. The next logical exploration dives into a comparative analysis, seeking to illuminate how the cardiovascular advantages and potential limitations of these plant-based newcomers stack up against their low-fat dairy counterparts, offering readers a holistic view of the options at their disposal. As we stand on the cusp of a dietary revolution, the growing consideration of low-fat dairy and plant-based alternatives like almond and soy milk brings to the forefront a compelling dialogue on heart health. This comparison has become increasingly relevant for those seeking to refine their diets for both personal health and ethical reasons. Both categories offer a tapestry of benefits and drawbacks that demand close scrutiny to inform sound dietary decisions. Low-fat dairy products have carved out their niche as heart-friendly options primarily due to their reduced saturated fat content. By stripping cream and excess fat, these products aim to provide traditional dairy nutrition, chiefly calcium and valuable proteins, while mitigating the risk of raising LDL cholesterol, a known contributor to cardiovascular disease. Regular consumption of low-fat dairy is often associated with heart health benefits such as lower blood pressure and better weight management, both closely linked to cardiovascular wellness. Furthermore, bioactive compounds in dairy, such as peptides and probiotics found in yogurt, contribute to improved arterial function and a supportive gut environment, indirectly enhancing the heart's resilience. In contrast, plant-based alternatives like almond and soy milk offer a naturally low cholesterol and low saturated fat experience. Almond milk, with its appealingly mild flavor, is lauded for its low calorie counts and heart-beneficial properties stemming from monounsaturated fats. Soy milk stands out for its well-rounded nutritional profile, mirroring many of the protein benefits of cow's milk while enhancing it with isoflavones, compounds thought to lower cholesterol and improve arterial health. Environmental sustainability is a major feather in their cap, as their production tends to exert less pressure on natural resources, further endearing them to those with climate concerns. However, these options come with a set of complications. Low-fat dairy, despite its advantages, sometimes undergoes extensive processing, with sugars and artificial ingredients added to preserve flavor, potentially detracting from its healthfulness. Critics also argue about what is lost during fat reduction. Certain nutrients and fatty acids might imbue whole dairy with cardiovascular advantages that are absent in low-fat forms. Additionally, the reliance on lactose, even in low amounts, might not completely address concerns for those who are lactose intolerant. On the other hand, almond milk's relatively low protein content might be seen as a nutritional gap, especially for those cutting down on animal proteins across the board. Added sugars in some commercial versions can counteract its natural benefits, though opting for unsweetened versions mitigates this issue. Soy milk's isoflavones continue to be a topic of discussion. They might be beneficial, but some consumers remain wary due to ongoing debates over their hormonal effects. While these concerns might be overstated, they still influence public perception and choices. Ultimately, the decision between low-fat dairy and plant-based alternatives distills to personal dietary needs and values. For some, the desire for a nutrient profile resembling traditional dairy, yet reduced in fat, makes low-fat options appealing. Others find solace in the heart health and environmental benefits of plant-based options, particularly if their diet demands non-dairy components for their well-being or ethical standpoint. This landscape illustrates how nuanced and customizable heart-healthier diets have become, empowering individuals to tailor their choices according to personal health goals and lifestyle preferences. As these discussions unfold, recent scientific studies and expert opinions increasingly inform and guide consumer choices, offering updated insights into how these beverage options directly impact our cardiovascular systems. Understanding the latest findings enriches the dialogue, providing clarity amid the complexity of modern dietary paradigms and aligns with the ongoing pursuit of optimizing heart health. In recent years, the scientific community has been increasingly attentive to the complex interplay between dietary choices and heart health, particularly concerning traditional dairy and plant-based alternatives. New research has begun to peel back the layers of nutritional myths and long-held beliefs, offering fresh perspectives on how these beverages impact cardiovascular well-being. For health-focused consumers, these insights are not just academic. They are foundational to making informed dietary decisions. A series of studies in notable medical journals has spotlighted the nuanced roles that dairy products and their plant-based counterparts play. Research, spearheaded by institutions like Harvard University, suggests that consumption of low-fat dairy could be linked to a modest reduction in cardiovascular disease risk. The studies emphasize the benefits of nutrients found in dairy, such as calcium and potassium, which are known to play vital roles in blood pressure regulation. Furthermore, bioactive peptides in dairy may contribute to cardiovascular health by promoting vasodilation and reducing inflammatory markers associated with heart disease. Conversely, plant-based alternatives have received accolades for their heart health benefits and their role in modern diets. Reviews in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition indicate that both almond and soy milk can contribute to lowered LDL cholesterol levels due to their low saturated fat content and absence of cholesterol. Soy milk, in particular, is often highlighted for its isoflavones, natural compounds that are thought to help in modulating the body's lipid profile by favorably influencing cholesterol levels. Experts like Dr. Walter Willett, a prominent figure in nutrition science, advocate for a more significant inclusion of plant-based foods within diets, citing their numerous health benefits, including cardiovascular protection. Willett's arguments support the transition not only on health grounds but also by factoring in the broader sustainability benefits offered by plant-based diets, an aspect that increasingly appeals to a new wave of environmentally conscious consumers. However, the discussions are not devoid of contrasting viewpoints. Some health professionals caution against viewing plant-based alternatives as a panacea. They argue for a balanced perspective, reminding consumers that while plant-based milks may lack certain nutrients naturally present in cow's milk, such as vitamin B12 and adequate protein levels, these can be supplemented in a comprehensive diet. Additionally, scientific debates persist about the hormonal implications of consuming large amounts of soy products, though prevailing research generally supports their safety in moderate quantities. For low-fat dairy, experts recognize the risk of added sugars in some processed varieties which can inadvertently harm cardiovascular health. Balancing these findings, experts suggest careful selection, urging consumers to be mindful of labels and choose options with minimal additives while maintaining overall dietary diversity. As these scientific studies and expert opinions converge, they provide a framework that encourages a balanced approach to dietary choices. They advocate for informed consumption, recognizing that no single food can dominate a diet aimed at optimizing heart health. This rising body of research continues to shape public perceptions, influencing the how and why behind dietary trends. Next, the focus shifts to consumer trends and the increasingly popular embrace of plant-based diets, which are rapidly redefining cultural norms and public health priorities. These trends not only illuminate changing lifestyles, but also highlight the global shift toward healthier, more sustainable living. In the swirling currents of modern dietary preferences, plant-based diets have emerged as a formidable force, distinctly resonating with a growing cohort of consumers driven both by health motives and ethical considerations. In bustling grocery stores, sleek packages of almond and soy milk now vie for attention alongside traditional dairy, a visual indicator of shifting tides in public nutritional priorities. This surge in popularity reflects not just a passing fad, but a deeper, more enduring migration towards diets perceived to offer tangible cardiovascular benefits. The ascent of plant-based eating can largely be attributed to heightened health awareness. Consumers are frequently bombarded with messages about the perils of excessive saturated fat consumption and the consequent risks to heart health, a notion that has turned plant milks, with their low cholesterol and saturated fats, into attractive choices. For many consumers, switching to plant-based options represents not merely a dietary adjustment, but a proactive step in mitigating heart disease risk, a leading cause of mortality worldwide. News feeds and wellness blogs regularly spotlight stories of individuals who have lowered their cholesterol or reduced their blood pressure through plant-based eating, reinforcing its cardiovascular appeal. This enthusiasm is evidenced by a noticeable shift in the market's landscape. Restaurants and cafes now cater to plant-based preferences, offering alternatives in lattes and menu items that were once dominated by dairy. International chains have taken note, expanding their offerings to include oat, almond, and soy milk, aligning with the evolving demands of a more health-conscious customer base. This market response underscores the practical dimensions of the trend, making plant-based choices more accessible and normalizing them as everyday options rather than niche selections. Yet, this shift is not without its complexities. With increased demand, the market has seen a proliferation of products that vary widely in quality and nutritional content. Not all plant-based milks are created equal. Many contain added sugars or artificial additives that can diminish their health benefits. As savvy consumers navigate these choices, the challenge lies in discerning which offerings authentically align with their health goals. This necessitates a more informed consumer base, one that is equipped not only with knowledge about what constitutes a heart-healthy diet, but also with the ability to critically evaluate marketing claims. Consumer behavior, rooted in a desire for improved health outcomes and a sustainable future, is indicative of a broader cultural pivot. As plant-based diets continue to gain traction, they signal a redefinition of traditional food norms, reflecting a collective aspiration towards more thoughtful, conscientious living. These evolving habits are more than just trends. They are part of an intricate tapestry that intertwines personal well-being with ecological responsibility. The next logical exploration in this narrative involves examining the environmental impact of dairy versus plant-based alternatives. As we delve into this comparative analysis, we will look to highlight the broader implications of our dietary choices on the planet's health and the secondary effects on our own health, further illuminating the intricate connections between what we consume and the world around us. In the context of growing consumer consciousness about sustainable consumption, the environmental impact of dairy versus plant-based alternatives has become an intrinsic part of the conversation around these choices. Beyond individual health benefits, the ecological footprint of producing these milk varieties presents a compelling angle for those concerned with the broader implications of their dietary habits. Dairy production, with its intensive resource demands, has traditionally been a significant environmental burden. Cows require vast amounts of land for grazing and feed, and they consume large volumes of water. The agricultural processes involved result in substantial methane emissions. Cows are major contributors to this potent greenhouse gas, which has a far more devastating effect on climate change compared to carbon dioxide. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, the global dairy sector accounts for around 4% of total anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions, making it a critical focus for sustainable initiatives. In contrast, plant-based alternatives like almond milk and soy milk generally exhibit a lighter environmental footprint. Almond milk's water usage remains substantial, particularly in drought-prone areas where almonds are predominantly grown, such as California. Meanwhile, soy milk tends to rank favorably due to the efficiently farmed soybeans, which require less land and water, producing fewer emissions than dairy cattle. Studies, including reports from the University of Oxford, emphasize that plant-based milks produce less than half the emissions of cow's milk, presenting an enticing choice for environmentally conscious consumers. The perception of plant-based alternatives as kinder to the planet is a significant driver in their rising popularity. Sustainability-focused entities often recommend these substitutes not just for individual health improvements, but for collective ecological benefits. This appeal is particularly strong among younger consumers who prioritize environmental issues. Many see adopting a plant-based diet as a personal contribution to mitigating climate change and conserving natural resources. However, the transition is not without its secondary health implications. The environmental benefits of consuming less dairy may indirectly promote human health by encouraging agricultural practices that are less reliant on antibiotics and hormones. These substances, commonly used in industrial dairy farming, can eventually affect human health through antibiotic resistance and hormonal imbalances. Shifting to plant-based options reduces exposure to these risks, promoting a cleaner and potentially safer food supply chain. Despite these advantages, challenges remain in the mainstream adoption of plant-based alternatives, particularly their nutritional adequacy and accessibility. Ensuring these products provide sufficient and balanced nutrients is crucial, especially for those fully transitioning from animal-based products. Moreover, while the environmental message holds power, economic and geographical availability still present barriers for widespread consumer adoption. As such, the environmental consequences of these dietary choices reach beyond immediate health benefits, underscoring the interconnectedness of ecological sustainability and public health. This exploration sets the stage for a deeper dive into how these broader trends and environmental impacts are influencing public policies and shaping the future of dietary recommendations in pursuit of global health and sustainability goals.